Alright, welcome to my presentation. I'm going to talk about surrealist photography and how it relates to content between a contemporary artist, a modern artist that we studied in class, and my own artwork. Believe it or not, I definitely did some photography in high school that I really liked, and I still do it today, but not as much as I used to because I don't have the access to the darkroom facilities that I really like to work with. So here's a quote from Man Ray. He said it on October 2nd, 1966. I thought it was kind of appropriate to this presentation. He says, "A camera alone does not make a picture. To make a picture, you need a camera, a photographer, and above all, a subject. It is the subject that determines the interest of the photograph." I thought this was appropriate because I'm going to be speaking about the content of all the works in this presentation. So subject is very important. First of all, the modern artist that I chose is Man Ray. I really liked his work when we saw it in class, so I thought I'd explore his photography a little bit more. He is an important modernist artist, surrealist, and was part of the Dada. He did most of his work from the 1910s to the 1940s. He worked in painting, photography, and then later on he dabbled in film. He's called a pre-surrealist because the content of his work seemed to mesh naturally into that genre, so it was easy for him to make the transition into it when the Dada fell apart. Man Ray believed that photography often operated in a gap between art and life. This is taken from The Art Story. He is interested in how photographs could capture sculptural pieces as well as how they could capture his circle of artistic friends. Now, the contemporary artist that I'm going to be focusing on is Alistair Magnaldo. He is from France, and he got into photography when he was 10 years old. He started with black and white photography and took black and white photos for a long time until he went and dropped art for a while to study the sciences like biology and chemistry. Then in 2000, he got back into the world of art by purchasing a negative scanner. He loves to work with light to set a mood in all of his images, and he often describes his work as an invitation to a dream, mixing pathos and surrealism into one image. And I think that's a very accurate description of his work. Now, here's an example of my own work that I've done. It's kind of interesting how I got into photography because I was kind of forced into it. When I was in high school, we had to take an AP art class, and the only one that they offered was photography, which is sort of strange because it's easier to do other mediums and not as expensive. And while everybody was taking MySpace pictures and little portraits of their friends, I was off doing this strange stuff. It really fascinated me how you could create these images of a dreamlike world without using a computer, using solely the darkroom to manipulate mundane images into something that they weren't. A lot of my photography does have a surrealist bent to it. I like working with dreamlike images. I like transforming things into something else and using my imagination to create my work. So now I'm going to go into comparisons of content in each of these works. I'm going to compare content that arises in all three artists' works, and the 3 points that I'm going to touch on are the content of a female subject, windows or portals into a dream world, and transformations, turning one thing into something else. Alright, first of all, we have 3 images that employ a female subject. The image on the left is by Magnaldo, the image on the right is by Man Ray, and the one in the middle was created by yours truly. All of us use the female form in their works. I believe that Man Ray did more than me or Magnaldo. He seemed to be sort of fascinated by it, like most surrealists were. In surrealism, the female body is a strong symbol of the unknown, of the wild side of a person, which is very important to them. Why did I use the female form? Well, I thought that it would lend a more delicate sensibility to my work, and also went along with the theme of some of my projects that focused on nature, which is usually personified in a female form. Now here we have 3 images that depict windows or portals into a dream world, and they're kind of interesting because each one of them is a portal that is not in a typical shape of a rectangle or a window or a door. These portals are all fused into something else, like the hands, the dog, and the sky. You see this the giant lips there in Man Ray's photograph. Like before, the one on the left is Magnaldo's, the one in the middle is mine, and the one on the right is Man Ray's. You can see the similarities in how each of the portals are represented. These pictures are all surrealist because none of this could ever exist in reality, and they all represent a passage from reality into a dream world that was really important to surrealism. I used these portals a lot of times to form a contrast or have some sort of irony to my works. For example, there was one image that is at my parents' house that I couldn't get here, but I'll describe it to you. It's a image of a girl whose face has been transformed into a portal that shows a rack of butterflies that have been like dried and pinned inside of a frame, and I felt like that represented the inner beauty of a person in a way that wasn't like directly stated through text. Now finally we have the transformation slide here. I'm going to talk about how all 3 of us used photography to transform one form into another. Like for instance, we have these 3 images here. And it's the same as before. We have Magnaldo's here on the left, mine in the center, and Man Ray's on the right. Magnaldo transformed his subject into an angel, and mine, I was trying to go for some sort of angel of nature. That was the whole theme of that project. Not sure if I really pulled it off, but I was 16, I tried. And then there was Man Ray's image where he transformed a model's back into a violin. This theme comes up in surrealism a lot because in a dream, forms can easily twist from one shape to another in a flowing type manner. where sometimes the transformation is hovering in between the two forms like you see here. And this is evident in all of our works. So in conclusion, the three artists that I examine here in this presentation, Man Ray, Alistair Magnaldo, and myself, all exhibit surrealist content along the three themes of the female subject, windows and portals, and transformation. Thanks for listening.